Ever heard someone say, just do what feels right, or you don't owe anyone anything? Because freedom without structure is just a beautiful name for getting lost. Modern culture glorifies freedom but completely misunderstands it. They tell you to be whoever you want. Do what feels right. You owe no one an explanation. It sounds empowering. But often these slogans leave men more confused, not more free. Because without discipline, authenticity becomes impulse. Without principles, being yourself becomes losing yourself. Freedom without structure becomes a spinning wheel going nowhere. The Stoics saw this coming centuries ago. To them, the good life wasn't about doing whatever you want. It was about becoming someone worth being. And the only way to become that man is to live by a personal code, a clear, steady, silent set of principles held in private, even when no one's watching. Lesson 1. A man without a code is easily owned. Without your own code, you'll borrow someone else's. You'll follow trends. You'll bend under pressure. You'll try to please people and hate yourself for it afterward. Marcus Aurelius warned, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Your personal code gives you internal authority. It makes you unruled by fear, flattery, or fleeting opinion. You become solid in a world of soft imitation. Why this matters? Because men who don't lead themselves become followers by default. When you don't have an internal compass, external validation becomes your drug. A personal code prevents moral drift and sharpens mental clarity. How to apply it? Ask yourself, what values do I live by when no one's watching? Write your code. Keep it short, clear, and actionable. Examples: I don't lie. I face discomfort. I finish what I start. Review it weekly. Track your failures, not to shame, but to sharpen. Reminder: if you don't define your life, someone else will. Lesson 2. Principles outlive pressure. The world will pull you in every direction. One day, it praises strength. The next, sensitivity. Today, silence is power. Tomorrow, it's seen as weakness. If you live for society's approval, you're living constant exhaustion. Seneca said, no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Once your personal code is in place, you stop being swayed by society's noise. The world may shift, trends may change, but you stay centered because your code is not built on trends, it's built on truth. Why does this matter? Because men without principles often crumble under pressure, under rejection, under the need to belong. But when you live by a personal code, discomfort stops being fear and starts becoming fuel. You can act with conviction even when misunderstood. How to apply it? Practice saying no when something violates your values, even in small, daily decisions. Mentally rehearse it. If I'm pressured to compromise, I will hold the line. Audit your recent choices. Were they made from your code or just convenience? Reminder: your strength isn't proven by applause. It's revealed under pressure. Lesson 3. A silent mission gives you a purpose no one can take. In a culture obsessed with attention, everything becomes a performance. Kindness becomes content. Hard work becomes a highlight reel. But a man on a silent mission needs no spotlight. He builds in the shadows. He sharpens in solitude. Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Your code is a quiet contract between you and your soul. No announcements, no audience, just a sacred pact, signed in silence. Why does this matter? Because purpose built on attention dies when the applause fades. But the silent mission, it builds real character. Solitary discipline breeds deep self-respect. How to apply it? Choose 1 to 2 virtues to embody this week, whether anyone sees them or not. When you feel tempted to explain or boast, remind yourself, this is for me. Embrace the work that no one sees. That's where the real man is built. Reminder: the man you become in silence is the one who shows up when the pressure hits. Lesson 4. Your code is your weapon in chaos, when life unravels, when betrayal comes, when the business crashes, when the relationship ends. Most men panic. They question themselves. They search for answers. They break. But the Stoic knows this is when your code matters most. When emotions scream, your principles must speak louder. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. When chaos comes, you don't need a new philosophy. You just need to remember the one you've already forged. When chaos strikes, you don't need a new philosophy. You just need to remember the one you've already built. That's your internal map, your guide through every storm, especially the ones inside you. Why this matters? Because crisis reveals what you truly believe when everything falls apart. There's nowhere to hide. You either act by principle or you react out of fear. Men with a personal code don't collapse. They might stumble, but they rise stronger. How to apply it in stressful moments? Come back to your code. Ask yourself, what kind of man do I want to be right now? Use short mantras from your code when the pressure is high. I don't quit. I don't blame. I act. After the storm, journal. Did I live my code today? Where did I veer off? Reminder, a man with a code doesn't panic. He navigates. Lesson 5, living by a code makes you dangerous in the right way. Not aggressive, not loud, but unshakably competent. The man who doesn't flinch under pressure, who doesn't trade his word for approval, who doesn't wait for permission to act with honor. That man, people either trust him deeply or fear him quietly, not because he's dominant, but because he's clear. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Your code is your armor. When you know your standards, you're immune to manipulation. You become the kind of man others rely on or tread carefully around. Why this matters? Because unshakable men are rare and incredibly valuable. A man who owns himself cannot be bought, bent, or broken. Your code creates consistency, and consistency builds trust and power. How to apply it? Carry yourself as if your code is written across your face. In every decision, ask, does this build the man I promised myself I'd become? Study great men, not to copy, but to extract timeless principles and forge your own code. Reminder, you don't need to prove your power. Just live your code and people will feel it. Lesson 6, without a code, life feels meaningless. Many modern men aren't lazy or stupid. They're just empty. They wake up, go to work, follow the script. But underneath it all, there's a dull ache. Something's missing. And that something isn't success, pleasure, or praise. It's meaning. And meaning doesn't come from what you achieve. It comes from alignment. The Stoics taught, fulfillment doesn't come from outcomes, but from congruence. Are your actions aligned with your values? Are you becoming the man you said you would be? If not, nothing you build will feel right. Marcus Aurelius said, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. A man with a personal code doesn't need the world to applaud him. He finds peace, not by hoping, but by knowing that he lived well today. Why this matters? Because a life without direction slowly becomes a life without feeling. Code-based living reconnects you to your deeper self. Meaning is not manufactured. Through success, it's the natural byproduct of alignment. How to apply it each night. Ask yourself, did I live according to my values today? Define what a good day looks like. Not by achievements, but by your character. Feeling lost? Simplify. Return to one core value and live it fully for the next 24 hours. Reminder, a man who lives by a code never wakes up wondering why he exists. Lesson 7, a code makes you a beacon to other men. The world is starving for leadership, not the loud kind, not the performative kind, but the quiet kind, the kind whose presence calms the room because his values are unshakable. You don't need to preach. You don't need to convert anyone. Just be the man you promised, yourself you'd become, and others will notice. Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. When you walk with integrity, when you move with conviction, when you choose character over convenience, you silently give others permission to do the same. Why this matters? Because most men are quietly looking for someone to model. You lead more by example than by explanation. A man of principle helps other men remember theirs. How to apply it? Think of yourself as a lighthouse, steady, visible, unshaken. When tempted to compromise, ask, who am I teaching by how I live? Don't wait to be asked. Lead in the shadows. Let your integrity speak. Reminder, be the man you needed to see when you were younger. Lesson 8. Your code doesn't shift with your circumstances. Too many men live like sails in the wind. Disciplined when it's easy. Loyal when it pays off. Honest when convenient. But the Stoic code, it's unchanging, especially under pressure. Seneca said, it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. A man without a fixed code wastes time chasing approval. A man with a code spends time becoming, especially when no one's watching. Your integrity must outlast hardship. Your values must survive impulses, heartbreak, financial ruin, criticism, and even private doubt. When life starts to crumble, you don't change your code. You hold tighter to it. Crisis doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you truly are. Why this matters? Because your environment should never outrank your identity. Men who stay consistent in chaos are trusted without question. Not because they're loud, but because they are stable. How to apply it? Write down a list. 5 things I never compromise on. No matter what. When things go wrong, don't review your emotions. Review your code. And trust this truth. Every time you uphold your values under pressure, you strengthen your self-respect. Reminder, a man is only as strong as the values he refuses to abandon. Lesson 9. Living by a code protects you from regret. Every man has made decisions he regrets, not because they failed, but because they betrayed their own soul. He cheated when he shouldn't have. He stayed silent when he should have spoken. He walked away when he should have stood firm. These wounds cut deeper than any external failure, but they teach one clear truth. Peace comes from living clean. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Your code is the shield against future shame. It won't make your life perfect, but it will help you make the right decisions. And right decisions, stacked day by day, build a life without hidden guilt. Why this matters? Because regret is the cost of ignoring your code. Peace isn't perfection, it's integrity. A clean conscience outweighs any decorated resume. How to apply it? When facing a tough choice, ask, will I respect this decision a year from now? Track the kinds of decisions that bring internal tension and clarify your code in those areas. Don't aim for pride, aim for peace. Reminder, live in a way that your future self thanks you, not curses you. Lesson 10. Your code is the foundation of true freedom. The world tells men freedom means doing whatever you want, but that kind of freedom often leads to addiction, distraction, and despair. True freedom, as taught by the Stoics, is the ability to command yourself, to choose wisely, to resist temptation, to live unchained. Epictetus wrote, no man is free who is not master of himself. Your code isn't a prison, it's a path. A narrow one, a steep one, but it leads to something real. Not just success, but sovereignty over your mind, your decisions, and the direction of your life. That's the kind of man who walks into a room, and without saying a word, people feel something different. In the final part, we'll bring everything together and see why living by a code isn't just a strong way to live, it's the only way to be free. When you live by your principles, you don't need to impress anyone because you're already walking in truth. You're not chasing the spotlight. You're not craving applause because you know this, integrity with yourself is the highest form of dignity. Why this matters? Because undisciplined freedom quickly becomes slavery to impulse. But discipline rooted in principle, that is the path to real freedom, freedom of mind, freedom of life. Think of it this way, your code is the map. You are the compass. How to apply it? Replace the phrase, I can do whatever I want, with something far more powerful. I do what I believe in. Track your habits. Are they freeing you or enslaving you? and choose your limits like a warrior. Chooses his weapons with purpose, with clarity, and for victory. Reminder, your code doesn't confine you, it sets you free. Final reflection, the code is the man. In a world full of noise, trend chasing, and masks, the man who lives by a personal code becomes rare and dangerously powerful. He's not guessing. He's not drifting. He's not trying to fit in or just get by. He knows who he is. He knows what he stands for. And he doesn't need the world's permission to live with honor. This is the Stoic path. Not to perform your virtues, but to embody them, to walk your mission in silence, to choose character over comfort, to build something eternal inside you, even when no one is watching. Not for applause, not for image, but because the man you become in darkness is the one who shows up when everything is on the line. Write your code, live it in silence, and walk the world with a quiet, burning fire. What's the real message of this video? In a world full of noise, distractions, and temptation, living by a personal code isn't just a noble ideal. It's how you survive with honor. It's how you stay strong when everything falls apart. It's how you live with clarity, with direction, and with strength that doesn't need to shout. So here's the truth I want to leave you with. You don't need the world's applause to live a life of integrity. You only need to write your code, honor it, and live it fully, even when no one's watching. Because the man you forge in silence is the one who shows up when life is at its loudest and darkest. Be the man you once needed when you were at your weakest. Become the man who doesn't break, no matter how hot the fire gets. If this video spoke to something deep in you, like it, subscribe, and share it with a man you respect. Because power doesn't spread through noise, it spreads through quiet conviction. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video from Stoicism Philosophy Daily.